Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Stop making sound! So it does not get internally adjustable outside rear view mirrors, which is quite surprising, huh? At least the knob would be pretty cool. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the Renault Kwid Climber, lock, unlock, whatever. Anyways, I've already reviewed the car earlier, but today we are reviewing the Automatic. So something's going to be different in this vlog. That's the reason the wiper is up. It gets a single wiper, but Renault did not realize that in India, everyone puts the wiper up in the morning because the car guy actually cleans it. He does it. So you see, there is some paint which has rubbed onto the wiper because, check this out, okay, when you put it up, it rubs against this, and no matter, you won't do it, but the car wash guy will definitely do it. So that is a problem. Any which ways, let's open the engine bay of this Renault car, which means that there is a lever inside. There it is. And oh my god, this is so light, I kid you not. With one finger you can take it up or down. That's the level of lightness. There is some insulation on the top. It really needs a lot of insulation as such because the motor is quite loud. That's the reason the car is actually turned off at the moment. Engine bay seems empty. You can put a massive engine, maybe 1.5 turbo engine. Okay, it will not be able to handle all that power. Okay, the design is the same as before. I mean, the facelift got some really nice elements. It looks really nice. Large Renault grille, large Renault logo as well. This being the Climber has this orange treatment in certain areas like there, which is very low as such. Okay, this is for the indicator and the DRL as well. The car is actually turned off. Let's turn on the car. Are you guys ready to listen to the sound of this vehicle? I sure am. Okay, here we go. Let's turn on the vehicle. You have to press the brake and there it rose to life. Now I'm going to open the engine bay again so you can listen to how much it vibrates, or rather you can't listen to vibrations, you can actually see them. There you see, yeah, the motor is vibrating, but somehow Renault's managed to do decent amount of insulation. You can't feel as much as you can see right now. Any which ways, you see, this is the LED DRL, and you know what, it is there on all the variants. In fact, ABS, driver side airbag, reverse parking sensors are there on all the variants, which is a good thing. Okay, now it is the Climber, which costs I think around 25,000 rupees more than the regular non-Climber variant, which is available with 1 litre only, the Climber variant. You get body side cladding, you get this sort of a treatment, side molding as well. There's a keyhole here, but you don't need it because you can unlock the car with the key itself. I'm just going to turn on the lights of the car so you can see that as well. Lengthwise, it's actually longer than the pre-facelift model, minutely though. I think the reason for the increase in length is because of the bumpers for sure. And this is the main light. It's kind of on the bright side. Of course, only the DRL is LED. Rest, nothing is LED on this car. Doesn't need to be. You get one nozzle there at the front. Orange color on the outside rear view mirrors. Orange on the roof rails as well. The roof rails are obviously not functional. And it says, caution, do not apply load. Just to sound off people. The antenna is really very long. And in case you put it on the highest position, if you have indoor parking, it actually scrubs with the garage. But hey, you have to be careful about that. That's the issue you face with the Duster as well. Coming to the rear, lights actually look nice. There's a reflector here. That orange treatment is there on the bottom. The bumper is not body colored. It says Easy R, which is basically for the AMT unit. There's a camera which is nicely placed inside the Renault logo. I like that. Keyhole because you have to put it to unlock the boot, of course. It says Renault here. Reflector looks fine. No LED here at all. Although the brake light seems LED here. Meanwhile, parking sensors are placed here. Okay, there are actually 3 parking sensors. Ground clearance is also quite good. In fact, the ground clearance is increased on this car because of the bigger wheels. We'll come to that in a bit. Okay, again, this is super light. Boot actually is become smaller because of the wheel wells, which are bigger for the 14-inch wheels on this car. And this reclines in one single piece, but there is a 12-volt charging socket, which is a nice thought. In order to do that, you have to pull from both the sides, which with one hand you cannot. So yeah, you can recline this. I'll show it to you right away. And there you can increase the boot carrying capacity if you so wish. Spare wheel is not an alloy. You know why? Because the regular wheels are not an alloy. How will the spare wheel be an alloy? Come on guys, use your common sense. 165/70 14 is the size of the spare wheel. Size of the regular tires, we'll come to that right away. So the regular tire size happens to be 165/70 14, exactly the same. These are not alloys. They might look like one, but these are plastic wheel caps. There you see, yeah. But smartly designed ones to fool people to think these are alloys. And this was super duper light, you know, I could flip it with one finger as such. Alright, let's come to the rear seat. Now, the car is not wide enough, so 3 people can obviously not sit inside. There are no door pockets at the rear either. And you can access the boot from here because it does not get a parcel shelf. In fact, a lot of exposed bits, like completely exposed, they could have put carpeting right there. And there are no adjustable headrests in this car. None as such. However, there is good amount of knee room and leg room here. That's kind of impressive. However, there is no concept of under thigh support here. Very poor under thigh support. Actually, the problem is you really sit low, because of which your knees are kind of up. No scooped out seat bag, no magazine holders, no height adjustable seat belts. But hey, that's common in this segment. There is a handle to hold on to on both the sides. Headroom is just about okay for someone as tall as me. My cap will almost touch. Meanwhile, they could have offered more under thigh support for sure. Actually, the seat base is very narrow. It's not long enough. That's what she said. And that's the reason why it's not comfortable in terms of under thigh support. But there is a center armrest, and there are no cup holders here, but you can actually have bottles slotted right into place. There's no headrest because the center passenger seldom has a head, and this Climber has this nice treatment, which also looks quite nice. Meanwhile, the dashboard design is quite funky, I would say. It looks pretty awesome. And you have this orange treatment on the front too. First and foremost, this orange treatment which is there on the Climber everywhere, it actually looks quite nice. Doors open wide enough, not as wide as say the tall doors. Of course, you guessed that was coming. Meanwhile, I have some issues with the glove box of this car. The earlier car had this glove box on the top. It had twin glove boxes. Air conditioning is a chiller, huh? Surprise, surprise. Very much a chiller. Hazard light button is to lock or unlock the vehicle, and this is for the power window controls, which is in the center. And rear power windows are optional, which are there on our test car. Of course, there's no mirror here. There's nothing here as such other than some instructions about how to drive an AMT or automatic. Light placement on the top. This is a very small one and a flimsy one as well. Now, the issue with the glove box is it does not open. Okay, why doesn't it open? Because it has some issue. You have to actually push it and then something will break. This thing actually breaks, and once it does break, then you can open and close the glove box. No, it will not work. Okay, the glove box is really very deep, although not wide, but really deep. I have to put this back into place. So honestly, quality levels could be a lot better in this car. Now it slots, and this is a locked glove box. It will not open. So that's like a safety feature in this car. Huge storage space here, multiple storage spaces. There's a 12-volt charging socket, a USB along with an aux. This does not move so smoothly. So yeah, quality could be a lot better. Lot of hard plastics, that's fine. Hard plastics at this price, no problemo. But panel gaps, glove box having a lock feature without even locking it, that's kind of bothersome to me, honestly. But you know, design aspects are really nice. Piano black finishing. 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which is a very, very, very slick to use. Air conditioning is an absolute chiller. Okay, the gas selector is in the middle. Earlier it was here. There's storage space here, so they have like really given a lot of storage space, which is quite impressive. I like it. Okay, now we're going to come to the other side. But as far as I see it, the Kwid is a very handsome looking car. Good packaging for sure. Only thing is slightly better quality wouldn't have hurt anybody. And especially in terms of rear seat space, headroom is much better in the Maruti S-Presso. Okay, massive door pockets at the front, like really massive. I can actually keep maybe an espresso here, the coffee. I'm not talking about the car. Alright, there is no dead pedal. Okay, this is for God knows what. This is to open the hood of the vehicle, and there is this exposed bit. I don't know for what again. The seat belt obviously doesn't get any height adjust or anything, but you can move it ahead or behind using this lever, which you can see right away. And it says Climber for the front seats. The rear seats do not get that luxury. And you see, nice orange treatment. Hard plastics, okay, fine, but you know, panel gaps should have been reduced. There's this slot here to keep stuff as well. I love the way the AC vents have been done on the side, and because they are very easy to close to. That's functional. Sort of a chrome line around it, sort of a chrome here as well. Meanwhile, steering wheel is nice to hold. It gets this perforated leather. Obviously, the steering wheel is not adjustable for reach or rake or any of that sort. These are the controls for the headlights. These are the controls for the wipers. Only gets a single wiper. Doesn't get a rear wiper. That nozzle puts out 2 sprays. But the wiper, in spite of being a single unit, does a decent job to clean the windscreen. So no problem on that front either. Let's do one thing. Let's get into reverse. Here we are into reverse. That is the reverse parking camera. And it takes some time to activate. No adaptive guidelines. But overall resolution of the screen is decent for the price. Every time you get into reverse or something, it makes this sound which you hear in Mario. Listen to this, okay? Yeah, it's like you have achieved some level. Any which ways, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity is there in this car. Let's listen to an audio right away. Oh really, Gina isi ka naam hai? I thought Gina pata nahi kiska naam hai. Anyways, the thing is, the audio quality is decent for the price, and it says Kwid here. Just in case you forget which car you're sitting in, the screen is nice to use, actually very slick, not complex at all, but doesn't get much to play around with as such, but doesn't need to. This instrument cluster is also nice. Again, a digital unit. This is for the tachometer. This is for the temperature meter. This is for the fuel meter, and telltale lights are placed everywhere. And you get a multi-information display. To browse through this, you press this button, digital speedo in the center. When you browse through, you realize there's so much information like distance to empty, instant fuel consumption, what is the driving time, how much liters of fuel you have consumed, and all the essential bits, or more than essential. You would never need all this information, but still it gives you. That's kind of cool. And of course, you know what? I don't have much to talk about as such inside the car because everything remains the same as before. I love the design of the dashboard. I think it's very funky, very nice. That orange treatment has been done very beautifully on this car. The seats are a little bit on the firmer side, but have decent amount of side bolstering. Only thing is, you know, the base is kind of short. That's a result of poor under thigh support in this car. Like, under thigh support is really poor. Your thighs don't actually touch anywhere. They're hanging in midair, but so much storage space, which is super duper impressive. Rev the motor, you can hear a lot. Yeah, it sounds like something's about to blow off, but no issue in that regard in terms of drivability. But how is it to drive? Well, that's what we are here for. But I'll just do one thing. I'll turn off the vehicle and then I'm going to turn it on because I want to show you. It does this full swipe up thingy. You have to press the brake to turn on the vehicle, and there it kind of, or no, not kind of, it definitely rose to life. Let's start driving right away. All right, we're all set to go. Turning on the car, and there it rose to life. It says Renault right there. Air conditioning off, handbrake down, into drive mode, left foot on the brake till this doesn't load. Okay, it loaded. Let's go. Okay, I am not going to accelerate heavily. I'm just going to try to emulate a city driving condition to tell you how fantastic this car is in the city. So because it gets an automatic, an AMT unit, it is very easy to drive, and the steering is so light and easy to twirl. Now this is an apt city car with its compact dimensions and of course an engine which is quite tractable but in the mid-range. Low-end performance is kind of lacking. It doesn't really respond like the S-Presso, which obviously has a good low end. The S-Presso, also being a Japanese motor, has being powered by a Japanese engine, is also having good amount of grunt in the top end. Here the top end performance is very poor, and then obviously the bigger problem is that the top end now it likes to make a lot of sound. Anyways, we'll start moving. Now you see there are actually some vibrations which can be felt at idle, and those vibrations now really become crazy when you go past 4,500 RPM. So this isn't a car you would like to push around the corners as well, because the steering is also kind of lifeless. It's actually a good thing that it's super duper light, so it's easy to drive in the city, and when you're taking a corner you realize there's a lot of body roll because of the soft suspension which this car has. Now it's a light car. It weighs around 750, 780 kgs depending on which model you opt for. Now this is obviously the automatic, for which you end up paying around 45,000 more for the AMT when compared to the manual. The manual has a 5-speed unit, is a 5-speed unit. This also is a 5-speed AMT unit, and overall I would say when you get hard onto the gas, it takes some time to overtake, and then you have that lag between shifts, which is a typical AMT thing, which you only realize when you go really hard onto the throttle. Now ground clearance is really ample on this car, so no issue on that front, and this is a vehicle which has a nice mid-range punch. In fact, all the power is concentrated in the mid-range. Bottom end is on the weaker side, so that tractability in the city you would kind of feel lacking. Engine becomes very, very, very noisy. Now this is a 1000cc motor, 1 liter 3-cylinder unit, doesn't have the smoothness which you would expect with 1 liter engine nowadays, but then this is not a real modern 1 liter engine with turbo and whatnot. This is just a naturally aspirated unit which gets the job done with 68 horsepower, same as the S-Presso, but 91 Newton meters of torque, 1 Newton meters more than the S-Presso. The result is that more than ample grunt for the city, but out on the highway not so much. And then this is not a car you would like to push it into the top end. Beyond 4,000 RPM you could hear the sound. Steering is super duper light. You can twirl it with one hand. That's the level of lightness on offer from the steering wheel. And then brakes are good, I mean, if you're not pushing it hard. The horn is hard, and they have dedicated buttons for the horn on either side. That's also a good thing. Now suspension is on the softer side, and the result of a soft suspension is obviously that it gets a little bouncy, but for the most part it tackles potholes without any fuss whatsoever. Every time I get into the throttle and I go beyond 4,000 RPM, I realize this is a very vocal motor, but that's fine. The vocalness is okay because nobody's really going to push it beyond 4,000 RPM, and most people are going to drive the way I'm driving right now, aram se, maybe in the third lane, and not pushing it hard and fast because it doesn't feel comfortable. For its weight, it has decent high-speed manners and will hit a top speed of almost 140 km per hour, but I would not recommend you drive this over 100 km per hour because it kind of feels hairy. Because the steering doesn't offer you any feel or feedback, you really don't get inspired to push it hard or fast because the car doesn't really remain glued to the road. It's obviously having quite amount of ground clearance, a soft suspension, steering which doesn't have feel or feedback, but overall ride is decent. The only thing is that the suspension gets really very noisy over bad potholes or bad roads as such. So there again, comfort levels are not the best. Grip levels are decent, I would say, for a car which is entry level hatchback as such, or you can just call it a small car. Now braking performance, I would say, is decent enough, but there is that sort of a nosedive under heavy braking there, you see. Yeah, then the car lifts from the front, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, rev still 3.5. It actually upshifts at around 5,500 RPM. So the ECU also knows that this doesn't have a top end punch as such, and that's the reason which it automatically upshifts this thing very fast. The manual is definitely more fun because this AMT is not that fun. It has this normal lag and all, taking its own sweet time to shift, but when you're driving it sedately, it does a decent enough and a quiet enough job to get you the right cog, and for the most part it gets you the right gear most of the times, which makes it very easy to drive in the city. It's only in flat out acceleration you realize that this AMT is actually sending a command all the way to France to get an approval for an upshift, and that can kind of take time because now the network is mostly clogged and can take some time to get an approval for a shift. But when you're driving it sedately, no problem at all. So yeah, I kind of like that for sure. Come on, give me some punch. Motor becomes so vocal, it's crazy vocal when you get into the high end of the rev range. Listen to this. So as far as the powertrain goes, I would say avoid the 800cc motor as much as you can, because the 800cc engine obviously lacks the grunt further, because this also I think lacks the grunt on highway driving. 14 horsepower more for the 1 liter because the 800cc makes 54 horsepower, and you pay a premium of 20,000 only for the 1 liter over the 800cc motor. The result is basically you pay rupees 1428 per bhp, which is completely worth it. Get the 1 liter motor. I know fuel efficiency is better with the 1 liter, but with the BS6 update and with the facelifted model, because they added weight, I think 50 kgs odd, and bigger wheels and all, fuel efficiency has actually gone down. I think the AMT gives 1.5 km per liter less fuel efficiency when compared to the pre-facelift model. Usually you don't need to honk because the motor itself is vocal enough to tell people around you that you are coming. Alright, and the price range of this car is massive because there are 13 variants on offer. Yeah, Renault is offering 13 variants. First and foremost, there's of course the 800cc, then the 1 liter, and the 1 liter also gets the option of an AMT, which we are driving right now. That option is not present in the 800cc. The 800cc one does not get an option of an automatic, but it doesn't really need it because that's more cost effective. Someone who's really on a tight budget would opt for that. When you compare to the S-Presso is a better mechanical package, but this is a more appealing car in terms of design, aesthetics, features and all those things, where Renault's actually done a fantastic job in terms of packaging this vehicle. Very easy to maneuver, good to drive in the city. Only thing is when you get out on the highway, you realize this car has its Achilles heels, which is not having show-footedness around the corners, not having great high-speed stability, and then further amplified by the fact that the motor is quite loud. Now, it's efficient enough, you won't believe it, the AMT, the automatic, is more efficient than the manual. Yeah, that's kind of weird. You usually don't get that a lot. Meanwhile, you should expect somewhere around maybe 20 to 25 kilometers per liter from this car. I'm just kidding. You will get somewhere between 15 to 18 kilometers per liter, which can stretch to 20 kilometers per liter out on the highway. And for that, you just need to make sure that you are very light onto the throttle, and this AMT gearbox will not disappoint you at all. It does manage to reach 6,000 RPM on and off. Anyways, what is disappointing though is the fuel tank capacity is very chintu mintu here. 28 liters is all it can take, and the price range of this car is between 3.92 lakhs to 6.41 lakhs. The base variant is 3.92 lakhs on road Mumbai. Top end variant which you're driving right now, the Climber, 6.41 lakhs on road Mumbai. And for that price, I don't think any other car offers you this level of packaging and aesthetic appeal like the Kwid. They really need to offer us a better engine probably, which is smoother, more refined, and definitely has some amount of top end punch, but top end punch is not important for a small car. What is important is bottom end grunt, where this car is a bit lacking. But that aside, I think the Kwid is a fantastic car, really nice, and doesn't feel cheap in any way unless and until you try to open the glove box, which doesn't open. And on that security feature, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give the thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Tata, bye bye. Okay. I know the vlog is over, but two things I need to tell you. First and foremost, there is no manual mode to shift gears if you want. No, none of that is available. And no matter how hard you launch the AMT, it's not going to spin its wheels. But around the corners, listen to this. Yeah, there the tires come into action, making some noise.